Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of eChannel News. Today we've got Michael Contento. He's from
My Blue Umbrella.
My Blue Umbrella. I love the name of that company, man. Really cool name. What you guys started quite a while ago, right? Tell me the story behind My Blue Umbrella.
So I was actually, I know I look 25 years old, but I was 20 years old when I created. That was approximately 25 years ago. So 25 years ago, I was a young kid working in IT. I was a technician for an Apple dealer called Elm Street Appland, and I was an entrepreneur since I was a kid. So I knew eventually I was going to branch out onto my own. And essentially, how My Blue Umbrella came up, the name is, I didn't want to be a typical IT company. I love business, I love entrepreneurship, I love the creativity of growth. So I wanted to be something different. And back then, blue was the dominant color in IT. You know, you had HP, you had IBM, there was a lot of strong blue in IT. Umbrella was psychological, about protection and an umbrella of services under one umbrella. And essentially, what I'm a big person on psychology. What I wanted was to make it really personal. So it's My Blue Umbrella. What I find when someone's having a challenged IT day, it's equivalent to a rainy day. And whether you drive, walk, transit, when it's raining, the first thing you think about is grabbing your umbrella. So we wanted the user, when they're having a challenging IT day, to just automatically think, oh, just grab My Blue Umbrella to deal with it.
That's amazing. Man, that's deep. That's pretty sophisticated, man. Awesome. Wow, I didn't know. Yeah, it's for me. I always remember the name My Blue Umbrella because it's just no one else has that name, right? And everybody is just IT this and IT that, right? So kudos to you, man.
Thank you.
So Michael, so you're in this business, and of course there's this pre-COVID and then COVID and then post-COVID. So pre-COVID, of course, no one was able to predict what what has happened. So just take me back a little bit during the process as the COVID hits and you got the shock and things are changing. Then for you and your customers, so what did you do first with your team once this thing started to become real?
I'll reflect on a article we recently put together. I wrote, which I used to set up My Blue Umbrella, and in turn use the same strategy when we're communicating to our clients. So I broke down this pandemic into three stages, three business stages. First stage I call survive. Second stage is stabilize. Third stage is strive. When this all hit, every business went into a survive mode. Am I going to survive this? Do I have funding? Am I going to go bankrupt? Are my clients going to go bankrupt? So our initial mechanism, like a mechanism to defend yourself, we just thought of mechanisms to make sure we have enough funding if everyone closes their doors. Once we got out of the stage, once we noticed that the government is really trying their best to give us some subsidies, we noticed that we spoke to our banks and they're going to back us up. We spoke to our key clients and they're going through the same structure. We moved into what I call a stabilized mode. And what a stabilized mode is, essentially, My Blue Umbrella went into, okay, great, we have funding, we get what the funding is, we understand we have some wiggle room. Now let's think about working from home. Let's initiate our BCP plan. Let's make sure every employee has the tools to be successful. We formulated a touch points, constant meetings throughout the day. At first, it was really interesting. Our first week when we did this, we had back-to-back meetings, and as the weeks progressed, we lessened the meetings. So sales meetings, the first week had 4 meetings a day, touch points. Now we only have 2 meetings a day. So we formulated a constant communication in the stabilized mode. And once we were stabilized, we understood what was happening. We today, My Blue Umbrella is in what we call the strive mode, strive to grow. And essentially, the strive stage is we're back to business. We know we're still in COVID-19. We're not forgetting about COVID-19, but we need to continue running our business and supporting our clients as good as we can. So the strive stage is not forget about COVID-19. Know it's there, but talk less about it. Let's continue business as is. And what helped us when we developed these phases is we noticed right away when we're talking to a client that is still in stabilized mode and we're trying to convince them on strive mode or stabilized mode, they didn't understand. They're still trying to figure out funding. So they're like, Michael, we don't even know if we're going to be alive. So what we're doing now is we armed our team in every stage to know the tool sets. So if we talk to a client that's still in survive mode, we give them quick links to government subsidies, government programs. We arm them less about IT and more business links to get them out of survive mode into stabilized mode. And if we're talking to a client that's in stabilized mode, there's no point talking to them about growth. Let's just get them working. Let's get them access to the data. Let's implement the BCB plan. Let's implement some mechanisms to get them stabilized in COVID-19. So these three stages, this article I wrote, has been very paramount to our success navigating through COVID-19.
It's quite brilliant, Michael, because you know, the fact that you're doing it is crazy good, right? But then you actually got your team to kind of recognize those phases within your customers, and then basically just help them to get over that hurdle.
Absolutely.
That's kudos to you, because that's the first time I've ever heard that. It's very, very smart.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
I think
Yeah.
what it gave our typical account managers, what it gave them is now their clients today are looking at them as truly business advisors, that trusted business advisor, because they're actually sharing government subsidy links saying, listen, look at this. This will help you to get out of survive mode into stabilized modes. And once we're in stabilized mode, let's talk about getting your data and how to access your data. And luckily, once again, Michael is in the strive mode, it doesn't mean we can't fall backwards. We have to be very vigorous, very regimented to understand business. Business has to continue. It's
Yeah.
more a game at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if the business doesn't continue, then the whole economy falls apart. And if you listen to the economists out there, there's hovering between 20 to 25 of the business community is going to take a hit that may or may not be survivable. And if you were to compare this to the Great Depression, 20% was enough to cause the Great Depression. Now, granted, we're way ahead of that curve, and we've got a lot of economies at stake and so on. So, and the government's got a lot of money to print, at least now we know. And so it's something that's necessary. If there was ever a thing that says too big to fail, well, this is it, right? And who would have thought that all the craziness of the world, a virus was going to be the catalyst for this whole environmental change and the way we're thinking about business and everything else, right?
Absolutely.
So now you're obviously in a thrive mode. What are some of the challenges that some of your customers had in, first of all, rip and replace, right? They're working at home, now they've got to go, well, at the office, now they've got to go to home. Was it a smooth transition, or were they all prepped for that?
So when they went from stabilized mode to a strive mode, I think one of the biggest challenges we're having today, Julian, is making our clients understand the security risks that COVID-19 is presenting itself with work from home. Today we had a webinar to talk to our clients about 75%, statistically 75% of users today are using their home PC on their home network that is not secured. Today's home typically either has a Ring doorbell, an Alexa, a Google, a smart TV, which 90% of home users don't understand that each one of these devices have admin default passwords. So a smart TV, how many people go into the admin console and change the admin password from 000 to something a little more intellectual? So what we're challenged with today is that, fine, we got you from stabilized to strive, But now we have a problem with all these home users connecting to company data with unsecured nodes. No house has a firewall, no house has right security protocols. So now we have to make sure temporarily that we start securing these environments to connect to your data. So they're connecting, but it's really an open market for any hacker right now, because they know typically houses do not come with firewalls, houses do not come with any serious security protocols, and the minute that VPN tunnel is connected, it's open game to company data. So we're vigorously today just trying to inform our clients is, we're not trying to upsell you on anything, but unfortunately, we need to protect 75 of those computers, 75% of those computers connecting to company data, because we just opened a very massive vulnerability to company data. So that's one of the biggest challenges we're having today, is really security, but a larger discussion that the general security we were talking about yesterday, cybersecurity and all this great stuff, right now is truly just the base requirement of base security protocols to protect home users connecting to company data.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think a lot of companies as well, users go home, they're using their kids' notebooks, their kids are using their notebooks, they're downloading stuff, watching Netflix, downloading videos and stuff. And even if you've got a VPN, people think that you've got a VPN, so it's okay. But no, whatever is in that computer can be tunneled up through that VPN, right?
Exactly, Julian. During our webinar today, that was actually one of the biggest discussions. I did the 30-minute webinar, and a lot of people actually asked that question of the VPNs. They said, wait, we have a VPN. We're protected. And, and yes, it's a good job that you have a VPN, but if your systems aren't protected, is you're opening up the gateway to your company's data, and you can transfer some malicious applications or files back down to your company server, which can react to ransomware or something more malicious. So it is one of the biggest initiatives we have right now, is to drive. We're going as far as MicroUmbrella is not doing any contractual agreements. We're saying to most of our clients, listen, we're not looking to put you in a contract. This can be a temporary relief. We just want to secure your home users temporarily, and the minute people go back, even if it's in 30 days, we'll cut it off immediately. So we're trying our best to support our clients. To us, it's not necessarily about growth right now. Is we want to make sure all of our clients move from survive to stabilize, stabilize to strive, and that is our biggest initiative, is to get all of our clients into strive phase of a business.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of goodwill and loyalty you'll create out of this is just priceless moving forward, because, we used to always talk about BDR being that you can't really afford to have your data locked up for, let's say, a week or two. And we have these calculators that could show you how much millions of dollars you're going to lose, right, if your data gets locked up with ransomware. Well, we're already locked up right now for like 3-4 weeks. Now we open up our security to get it even hit after we go back to work, or maybe for another extended year. I think the only reason why the hackers haven't pulled the trigger, even though they're maybe dormant in these systems right now, is because they know the companies have no money to pay.
Yeah.
Right? They're being kind of kind in a way, right?
I hope. That's actually a great point, but they could be planting seeds right now.
Without a doubt, if I was putting on my hacker hat, and the reality is that once this happens, I mean, the question then becomes, if the economy knocks off a certain amount, and the hackers knock off a certain amount, like what's left, So I don't want to be pessimistic in the world, but these are real threats, and I think you are spot on. The number one thing that every company who's working from home or wherever they are better be doing is not to get a double hit. You're going to take this blow. This COVID blow is going to be pretty hard. I think if you do some magic work, you'll get the government to kind of help you out, right? But I don't think the hacker is going to be so kind. So they may give you a temporary reprieve, but you better be knowing what you're doing. So security is definitely one of those things. And moving on to the bigger part of working from home, because securing the systems are great, but then we get into this bigger issue that we are seeing now is productivity. Some people say productivity is actually going up for their employees and staff, and some people say it's going down, right? And there is no management it's very difficult to manage remote employees, of course. And we're seeing a lot of interesting tools like coming from Veriato, who has a tool that monitors your activity on your computer to see what you're doing, security protocols, et cetera, to kind of give a bit of management from a remote perspective, right? We're seeing a lot of things that we really didn't think about before, filling in the gaps because management is saying, hey, my team is at home. How do I really know we're productive? What
Yeah.
do you say to that?
So I think it's human nature, unfortunately. And once again, the challenge I'm having is, my two young kids, coincidentally, it was their birthday this past Friday, and it's really hard being here and seeing your kids, your wife. They see you're sitting there. Hey, just come and participate with us, and that's going to directly hit our productivity. I think what I can say, the way my Brumbella successfully navigated this is. We're big believers in once again the psychology of habits. We're a habit type of company. So what we did is we're very strong on our metrics, we're very strong on our data, but that doesn't do enough. And it's not about micromanaging. We definitely do not micromanage my Brumbella, but we believed when we kicked off COVID-19 work from home, we needed frequent, constant communication points. So what we did is like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, is the first week we had constant meetings throughout the day. And some people will say, wow, you just monopolized all my time. We actually did that purposely. Yes, we monopolized a lot of your time. Not a lot of business is happening this first week. Everyone's pretty much into survival mode. So they're not thinking on right now. They're just thinking about funding. But we want to get all of our employees in the habit of constant communication, constant touch points. So what we did was constant meetings with salespeople, constant meetings with service people, constant meeting with management. And as the weeks progressed, we lessened the meetings, but they're still prevalent. At the same time, every day we have an accounting meeting, we have a sales meeting, we have a service meeting, and it builds habit. And during this meeting, we break it down in three basic questions. You either produce revenue, you either manage expense or brought the expense down, or you're providing profit analytics. Where are we failing? How can we do it better? What's the customer experience? So at every meeting, we really quickly, hey, did we touch on revenue? Did we touch on managing operation and expense? Or do we touch on analytics? Do we know more data? Do we understand what the trend is happening? And what we found is that our productivity did increase. The flip side of that, Julian, is the challenge with work from home. We're seeing a quicker burnout. Because we got productivity going, people are actually working double the hours. And what's happening is, hey, I'm set up, the BCP plan's working really, really well. Let me just put another hour in. Let me just start, let me eat dinner at the desk. It wasn't just lunch anymore. We used to go home for dinner. Now we're actually eating dinner at our desk. So now we're gonna start rolling out mandatory take a day off, vacation day type thing. So we're gonna start forcing people to try to take a day off until we go back to work in lieu of some vacation, built up vacation.
Makes sense, because the emotional part is really wreaking havoc, as you could see from some of the news articles that's popping up these days, with people just saying, "I'm not so sure I can handle this social distancing for that much longer." So you're obviously smart. You get it within your company. Obviously, your customers are feeling that. I mean, that's actually a teaching moment as well, to kind of maybe help them navigate their own employee burnout syndrome, I guess.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that all of us IT companies had in the last decade, the last 10, 15 years, Julian, as I said, I've been around for 25 years, so I've been through different strategies as well. we were typically still a IT company, you know, a commoditized space. In the last, I would say, the last 2-3 years, Michael did a great job to flip from IT commodity to trusted business advisor. I wouldn't say we're 100% there yet, but it's trying to still, you know, let our clients understand we truly are business partners. We're not just trying to sell you a computer. So for those clients that engaged us as a trusted business partner now for a few years, truth of the matter is some of them are calling us fortune tellers because we set them up on a cloud-based environment called Work Anyplace a couple of years ago. So today they're saying, wow, Michael, did you know this was going to happen? Because we're working perfectly. This is, you know, we're able to work 100% with Work Anyplace that you set up for us. And it was just fluky, but those are the clients that took us on as trusted business advisors. So I agree with you, but it's a partner relationship with client and vendor. It has to be less about the commoditized IT space and more about the trusted business, trusted partner space where we're there to make sure that the companies are surviving. We're there to help them stabilize and eventually help our clients drive into growth mode again later fourth quarter this year.
Well, you're definitely on the right track. So Michael, what ransomware did to boost the security industry, COVID is doing for the digital transformation of business in real time, and it's going to happen in weeks, if not, you know, months, right? What do you see, putting on your fortune teller hat a little bit, walking through the next the future, maybe near term? Where do you see the whole business community headed towards now?
So I do think my umbrella is still on the right track. We don't call ourselves an MSP anymore. We're a business transformational company. We're all about automation and business process. Our automation and business process offering includes MSP. So it's not that we left IT, we just include it automatically in what we support. So essentially, where I see the future is the Michael Bellas of the world helping our clients better automate, better process, understanding their workflows, how we make them more efficient. And it's not necessarily just selling you an iCore 7 laptop anymore. It's really understanding the flow, the documentation, all little separate automations we do to free up some of their time.
So last question, Michael, if you had to pick one thing that you think is going to be different for business, society, whatever you want to say, moving forward post COVID-19, what do you think that would be?
Automation, business automation and business process, understanding how to make our clients be more efficient and work better at what they're doing.
Well, we'll leave it there, Michael. It's been a pleasure. For anybody who want to reach out to you, what's your URL?
It's www.mbu.ca.
Perfect. My Blue Umbrella. Take care.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.